Hello, up close and personal for the first part of today. Welcome. This is Yoga Intermissions. Please try this at home, live or on Memorex. My name is Karen, coming to you from Salt and Sand Studios in Vermont. I know we have done folding before, and I know I've used a piece of paper before. At least I'm 99% certain. But because I have seen lots of unsafe folding in the past, don't worry, this is not origami or in the description, folding laundry or folding socks especially. This is about how you fold your body. We've often called it a forward bend, whether that's standing or seated or supine on your back. But when we bend or think about bend or have our memory of bend, we are kind of working from the waist and rounding the spine instead of working from the hips to hinge forward. So if you look at the piece of paper, pretend this is us standing. Yeah, it's an old email. Pretend this is us standing. I'm going to do it from the side. We often work, paper's not cooperating very well. We often work to reach downward toward the earth from a standing fold. Paper's got a little crackle in it. Ending up kind of rounding our spine and kind of hanging there like this, kind of locking our knees and feeling everything feels really tight, my low back, my hamstrings, etc. And what we really want is this feeling, this direction, not a destination, but a direction, almost like we've taken that paper. This is our hips. Taken that paper and made a nice tight line of fold here. Now, really hard for a lot of people, for sure. Looks like my head is a little cut off. Sorry about that. Not that easy. We also have a human body that gets, in between bottom paper number 1 and top paper number 2, which is why the offer is to bend your knees and to bring the belly to the thighs, working for a long spine, and finding the hands coming to the ground because we are bending our knees and we drop the head. So there might be a little still rounding in my spine, but you can see my belly is against the thighs. My jacket's a little bit in the way there. And I'm not overstretching. And over time during practice, this is my first forward fold. Frankly, I haven't warmed up at all. Over time, whether that's during the practice or over the course of several practices, the knees can start to press a little backward. And rather than sending the booty behind us, we're sending it toward the sky. It's almost as if we're separating the sits bones, lifting the sits bones toward the sky, and finding as long a spine as possible, rather than this kind of rounding at the waist where we're like, oh yeah, I can't reach the floor. So that's what we're going to work on today. Repeat probably for some of you, but maybe not for others. And we'll find a little bit of a different road than we did the last time we folded. I don't honestly remember when that was, but I know we did it previously. So go ahead and find your comfortable seat, maybe on something. And we're going to take a few warm-ups with our breath, and some side bending, and some folding, and some twisting, and some arm work before we move into our folding part of the folding focus, F squared. All right. Switch across with your feet if you have established yourself in your standard posture sitting. Maybe if things are feeling really tight in the hips, if the knees are sort of up here, you might find blocks or rolled up blankets can be helpful. By the way, If you have a blanket or a block or some sort of cushion or pillow, you might want to grab that now if you don't have it handy, because we're going to use that. You could use the more formal bolster or a block. We'll use that in some of our seated forward folding, maybe even our standing forward folding. Here we are together. It's great to be here with you. Palms can face up or down, but let the arms relax and let there be a little bit of space between the side bodies and the elbows. We're going to notice the breath to start. Science says just by noticing it changes, but let's imagine that we're not forcing any change to the breath. We're just becoming aware of it. And then we begin to cultivate a calm breath, a lengthier breath, a more beneficial breath, filling the belly, filling the rib cage, filling the heart space, and then releasing through the nose. Squeeze the belly in like you could rinse out the air. Inhale again, belly fills up all the way around, 360 degrees. Rib cage all around the body. And then that space behind the heart, so the heart lifts, but the shoulders do not. Release it out the nose. Can be slow or quick, your choice. If you're feeling lethargic, maybe it's quicker. Press the belly in. One more time. Now you're welcome to add ujjayi breath into the process here. A slight constriction at the back of your throat has the breath sounding a little bit like waves washing on the shore, feeling a little bit like you're fogging a mirror on the breath out. Or you can maintain a slow, steady, kind of standard inhale. Your choice. And exhale too. Don't forget to exhale. Scan your body. In particular, once you come from the toes all the way to the hip joints, you're going to imagine you could see all the way inside and how those hip joints work. They're ball and socket. They also allow us to have a sort of hinge motion within that ball and socket as we fold forward or take a back bend. Maybe you notice as I do that each hip feels a little bit different. I have a little pinching in one hip right in the front. And I have a softness in the other one around the side and back. Maybe one hip feels a little higher or one feels a little lower. Or maybe it's hard to really kind of feel what it feels like. So spend a couple more breaths there. Let's complete the body scan, moving our awareness, our observations upward. All the way to the crown of the head. And it might be with a focus on the crown of the head, you notice a little bit of tickling or itching or like sparkling water right on the top of the head. Drop your hands by your sides. Place the palms facing upward. Ensure the belly is drawing in and the tailbone down. Inhale, lift the arms forward. And pause on the exhale, locking the arms into the shoulders. Inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, keep the arms where they are, but face the palms out. Inhale. Exhale, arms out to the side and all the way down by your sides. My elbows don't go straight, so you might notice if you're watching that my elbows are bent, you're aiming for straight elbows. That might not happen. Palms face up. Inhale, forward. Exhale, lock in. Inhale, reach high. Exhale, settle in, palms out. Inhale. Breathe out, arms out and down. We're going to take one more round. Your cadence. I will not guide you this time. Keeping the right hand down, float the left arm high, get super tall on both sides of the body. Press those sitting bones in, take a tilt on a breath out. We're going over to the right. Heart lifts up. We're tilting opposite of the arm that is lifted. Heart lifts. Inhale, both arms high. Exhale, palms press together, fingers interlace and palms press toward the sky. Exhale for a cat shape, palms reach away, drop your head. It might feel very different from if you were on your hands and knees. Inhale, lift up, a cow shape. Doesn't have to be a very deep back bend. We want to protect the low back, so draw the belly in. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. As we release the fingers, they come behind the ears. Inhale, tall. Twist to the left. And it's a twist to the left. Another twist to the left. Not my best Rocky Horror imitation, but maybe it tracked a little tiny bit. Inhale, both arms reach high. This time, left hand drops to the earth, and we take a tilt over to the left. Both arms lift. Get tall, take a cactus shape. Bring your fingertips behind your ears. Once again, breathe in, get tall. Exhale, twist to the right. And again. See what the shoulders feel like. We come front and center, cactus shape arms, and then we drop the hands behind us. Interlace your fingers or hook them. Draw the knuckles down. Maybe they come all the way to your cushion or to the mat. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Lift the chest. Maybe the chin lifts up and the head drops back, opening up the throat. Our throat chakra, the place of communication and purification. Then tuck your chin, scoop the belly in. We are rounding the spine for this as we drop the head downward, the shoulders toward the knees, and maybe the hands lift away from the body. This time we are purposely rounding the spine. Use the belly to rise back up. Float your arms out and up. Exhale, hands to your heart. And a little loving kindness meditation for the self today. May I be calm. May I release what I do not need. May I be patient. May I transition in this season with ease. May you be calm. May you release what you do not need. May you transition with ease to this new season. May you be patient. Let's go ahead and kick off the more active part of the practice with a chant of Om. You can make it silent, you can just listen, or you can participate, your choice. We're going to take a cleansing breath first, so just one, and make it worthwhile. Deep, full breath in, filling the whole torso, and maybe feeling it all the way down into the hips and all the way up to the crown of the head. Open your mouth, release the air. Fill up even more this time for Om. I'm going to slide off the cushion. We're actually going to start today with a seated fold. So reminding ourselves of this hinge at the hips versus a rounding of the spine. So think about rather than thinking about the achievement, the reach toward the toes, we will think about shifting forward. Many of you have practiced this with me before in this way. If you like a block or a cushion, or kind of fun, a rolled up blanket underneath your knees so that you can relax a bit more, why don't you try that? A little bit more of a restorative approach. The props are really our friends because they bring the floor closer to us, or us closer to the floor. Pick one. We are animate. So we're going to reach the heels forward, reach the toes back, and sit up really straight. I'm going to place my hands on my thighs to do this. Arms are going to float out in front with the palms facing one another, and we lock them back into the shoulders. This process into a forward fold, seated forward fold, can be really helpful because it does help us consider that sharper fold at the hips rather than a bending and rounding of the spine. So imagine that your fingertips are going to reach past your toes, but not down to start with. So we take a big breath in. Exhale, shift at the hips forward. Take another inhale. Belly in as you shift the hips forward. Another inhale. Remember, we're early in practice, so you might not get as far as you will at the end. And shift forward. Maybe you stay here, or maybe you just drop your hands. If you are pretty well folded because you're really stretchy this morning, you might drop your head a little bit or all the way. And you can see my hammies are pretty tight. I'm working to keep a nice long spine. Use the belly to lift back up. Doesn't matter how far down you got, but just a little kind of moment captured in our heads of what that felt like and where we were. In the meantime, you're going to shift over onto one hip and find child's pose. By the way, if child's pose is problematic for you, you can also take that rolled up blanket if knees don't bend as far as they might otherwise and place it behind your knees. You can always use a bed pillow and place it between the knees so that the torso rests on it if that feels better for you. Otherwise, everybody's big toes touch, knees are spread nice and wide, your forehead rests on something, and we breathe in to let it go. A great place to set an intention for this practice today. Maybe you'd like to focus on your motivation. Maybe there's something aspirational in terms of your behavior, or perhaps it's something for right here, right now, 100% that may, as an outcropping of the practice, come with you off the mat, like paying attention to your breath, paying attention to your hips. Rise up to the fingertips. Feel an opening across the shoulders and under the armpits. Take a breath in. Exhale, crawl those hands over to the right or the left. Pick one. I went left and said right. And then drop your head again. If you like the side body that is curving wide, you might place that hand on top of the other. For me, it's the right hand on top of the left. On an inhale, hands crawl back to center. As you breathe out, they crawl to the other side. Head drops, maybe the hands stack again. We crawl the hands back to center and come into a forearm tabletop. So the knees draw right underneath your bony hips. Feet come as wide as that, and the shoulders and the elbows are stacked. Palms are flat, fingers are wide, and it's as if we're creating traction on the mat backward. Find some cats and cows from this position. Taking your time. If you'd like to add in some other movement and maybe some hip circles, you can do that. And you might find that in this posture, you're getting a little work also in your triceps. Cats and cows, hip circles, hula hoop motion. And then we find our tabletop. Take the left leg, extend it long, keep the ball of the foot grounded or the toes grounded, and stretch out your calf. Squeeze the kneecap toward your quad. Stretch out the bottom of the foot. You might even feel it in the front of the ankle. Float the leg off the mat. Shoulders are over the wrists. Draw your knee to your nose. Inhale, extend. Draw your knee above your left elbow. Might tap, might not. Inhale, extend. Swing the leg out to the left. Minus coming to my blanket. And then we're going to take a gate latch pose. So bring the outer edge of that left foot to the mat. Walk your hands backward and rise up. If it helps for stability, you can always kickstand the right foot out a teeny bit. We're going to take the left hand onto the left leg, float the right arm high, and take a tilt over to the left. And as you know, one of my favorite things to do from gate latch is rock stars. So we're going to take a couple breaths here. We're going to look over toward the left, sweep like a clock hand, the right hand down in front of us, over and outside the right leg. Left arm sweeps over to the right, and the left arm floats high. And we work our pelvis forward rather than folding, bending, or hinging at our hips. The gaze up at the left thumb. Ta-da! Not a very rock star sound, I recognize that now, but I don't have a drum kit. And we look over to the right, sweep the left arm to the right like a clock arm, and right in front of us, hands land on the mat, left leg floats up and then sweeps back and over to the right. This time we're keeping it off the mat. We're going to take a peek over to the left, right. See if we can see those toes. Maybe not. Maybe swing them a little farther. Draw them right behind us. Bend the knee like you're stepping on the sky. And if you like, you can simply pump that leg up and down, or you might reach around with your right hand to take a hold of your pant leg, your ankle, or your foot. If you do that, keep the belly really strong so you protect your low back. And you're opening up from the shoulder all the way, the left shoulder all the way to the left toes, and the right shoulder through the clavicle, and opening up your heart. Knee to nose one more time. Inhale, lengthen out, and draw the knee to the mat. Little shifting, a little wiggle, whatever works for you. Listen to the spine, listen to the body. We have magical being ability as humans to be aware of what's going on in the body. The right leg reaches behind, ball of the foot or the toes on the mat, and we open up the calf, the sole of the foot, the heel, the Achilles heel. Draw the right kneecap toward the right quad. And then float the leg up, knee to nose. Inhale, lengthen out. Knee above the right elbow. Inhale, extend, patience and calmness. Leg sweeps out to the right, and then we plant that foot. Draw the outer edge of the foot to the earth, walk backward, working our way toward our gate latch pose, maybe shifting the left foot out to the left a little bit, and our tilt. It's kind of such a nice full body approach. May I release what I do not need. We take a peek over to the right. The left hand follows the gaze, sweeps around in front, lands outside that left knee. Right arm sweeps in front, left, and then up overhead. Pelvis reaches forward. We're using the whole right foot. Well, the sole anyway. And the toes and the heel. Right arm comes to the left, sweeps in front. Hands plant, three-legged tabletop. Sweep the leg over to the left and look over to the left. Keep that leg floating. See if you can see your toes. Leg sweeps back, knee to nose. Inhale, extend. Bend that right knee as if you're stepping on the sky and either pump that leg up and down or find your opening by swinging the left hand behind you to take a hold of something relative to that foot, leg, ankle, pant, knee to nose, and the knee comes to the mat. I know not all of you are wearing layers today. I am warm enough now to remove one. Hurrah! Now we're going to move into our downward dog, taking our time. Hands move forward, toes tuck very slowly on a breath out. We send those heels toward the ground, direction, not a destination. And we use the belly to help the hips lift. This is an inversion. It's also a forward fold in a way. It works the core. You can pedal in and out of your feet. It works the hammies. It works the triceps. Maybe you lift to your tippy toes and find a little pippy popping going on. It's getting cooler out. Belly in and up. Rise to the tiptoes. Walk the hands to the feet. And as you walk them backward, you can bring your heels to the earth when it makes the most sense for you. You might, like I am, bending my knees. Bend your knees. Feet parallel to the outer edges of the mat. And your belly should be on your thighs. Go ahead and take a ragdoll, which will help you in loosening your neck and letting gravity work for you. As you breathe out, maybe there's a tiny bit of straightening of the knees as the hips lift toward the sky. Maybe not. We're going to keep our ragdoll, elbows cupped, and slowly rise to standing. Here is where you want the back to be bending, as it were, like a cat shape, so that you are lifting one vertebra at a time over the one below it. Head hangs until the shoulders and hips stack. Then the arms can lift up overhead like you created a little frame for your face. Going to take a tilt to the right. Press into the outer edge of that left foot. Make sure your knees are not locked, but they're also not super bent. Lift your heart. Lift up and then tilt to the other side. Lift up, cactus shape arms. Saloon doors, forearms come together on the outer edge, the pinky edge side. Lift the elbows shoulder height or higher. Lift your toes off the mat, spread them nice and wide, and then bring them down one at a time, starting with your pinky toes. Open up the saloon doors. Drop your hands behind you. Fingers can interlace or hook. We open up the heart. Drawing into a chair pose, Utkatasana. Going to shift onto one foot, maybe the right foot. Lift the left knee toward the chest. Little balance work. Drop the left foot, float the right knee toward the chest. Draw the foot down, lift up, keep your heart open. A little meditative walk forward, starting like, not quite like you're tiptoeing, but you're going to set your toes down first, then the ball of the foot, and then the heel. Noticing what you notice. And once you make it to the front of the mat, we're going to find our chair pose again, opening up our hearts. I now see that there's some chat. So while you are sitting in chair, I'm just going to take a quick look. Okay, we're going to take a fold over our legs. And yes, I think we can do a few seated stretches for feet and ankles at the end. I don't know how close up I can get. Hands release. Belly should be on your thighs. So if it's not, you're going to bend your knees a little bit more. Glide your hands to your shins. Press them away and find a little half lift. Half lift is just a half fold, right? Just depends on how you think about it and how you approach it. Shoulders toward the hips. Looking for a nice, long, flat spine. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, slinky roll all the way to standing. Exhale, soften at your knees, forward fold. Finding your long, flat spine. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. I'm going to add in a little foot stretch here from standing. I hope that works for you as a start. Bring your fingertips to the ground and rise to the tippy toes. And then draw all the way to your heels. So this is a balance and a little bit of a stretch. It does a little strengthening of the ankles. I may not be close up. And if you can, your hands will come to your heart. We're going to keep on the balls of the feet if we can, working power into the ankles to rise up. Modified chair, heels lifted, and then draw your heels back to the ground. Nice. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, forward fold. Many of you have probably been in classes where swan dive is taught. I like to avoid swan dive, except maybe as an alternative at the very end, because for many of us, including me, the low back issues make it a little bit unsafe. Halfway lift. Forward fold, left foot to the back of the mat, runner's lunge. Left fingertips down. Right hand can float high. This is a really good stretch for the ankle and for the sole of the foot on that left foot. If you reach the left heel back and draw your left kneecap toward your quad. Exhale, right hand to the earth. Step the left foot halfway up the mat. We're moving into pyramid pose, which is a fold. I'm going to use my blocks for it. The soles of both feet are on the mat. Fingertips can be on your blocks or your cushion. Power up that back leg and lift up halfway, finding a nice long spine. If you take a peek up, you can see that I'm not folded deeply at this moment, but I am pressing both my feet into the earth. And as I fold, what I'm doing is reaching my heart toward my ankle, but I'm not going to go very far because I can't do it safely for my low back. I'm going to bend my front knee a tiny little bit, which can bring me a bit lower. But we really want to work the hammies here and the balance. Hips are squaring to the front of the mat. And again, over time, you could press more into the ball of the front foot, press that right sitting bone behind you, and find a little bit more of a stretch. Step their left foot up to meet the right. Inhale, float to standing. Exhale, forward fold. Take your time. Hands come through the heart. Knees bend. We hinge at the hips rather than rounding the spine. Hands can come back to the earth or your blocks, and we step the right foot to the back of the mat, runner's lunge. Right hand down, left arm high for your twist. And the left hand down. Blocks if you need them. Step the right foot halfway up the mat. Both legs come as straight as possible, and maybe you make more space left to right between your feet. We are folding over the left leg, working the hips to be square. Lift halfway up. Straighten that spine, draw the belly in, press energy into the heel of the back foot, and maybe you can fold a little bit deeper. Right foot steps up to meet the left. We're going to take our squat again, but this time we're going to bring the feet as wide as the mat. You might take your blocks or your cushion and place it in front of you. Put your hands on them. Toes point outward, and then we drop the bottom. If the heels are lifting off the mat, maybe you make the feet a little bit wider. This is really good for your inner thighs. That's also really good for your hips. We are straight spined as much as possible, and we are working the ankles and the feet as well. Wide-legged fold, heels and toes parallel, hinge at your hips, fold over your legs. You might not need your blocks now. Head is heavy. Heel toe the feet toward one another. We're going to take one more sun salutation and into a downward dog before we come down to the mat. A little bit more on the mat today than we might do in a vinyasa. So inhale halfway. Exhale, forward fold, sunrise, float to standing, rooting into the ground. And then working really beautifully to find a hinge at your hips rather than a rounding of your spine. Maybe bending your knees to get into your forward fold. Halfway lift. Forward fold, a step back for your high plank. Maybe you rock it out a little bit here in high plank. Drop your knees if need be. And then nose, chin, chest to the earth to find a little back bend. Just a baby cobra. And then back to down dog, maybe through a tabletop, especially if you have low back issues. Pedal in and out of the feet. I'm going to do one bit of ankle work while we are here. I recognize it's not seated as the request came in. Lift to your toes. Drop the heels over to the right. Press the chest toward the thighs. Lift to your tiptoes. Drop the heels to the left. Press your chest toward your thighs. Lift to your tiptoes, draw to your knees. And then we're going to come into a seat. We're going to work some forward folds. We're going to do some ankle and feet stuff. We're going to do some hip stuff, yoga stuff. And we do remember that it is just yoga, and that it is your own practice. So we're going to start with starfish pose, which looks like Baddha Konasana. We're going to go ahead and bring the soles of the feet together and drop the knees outward. We're going to scoot the wrists underneath the ankles. We're going to reach the heart forward. This time, not a fold, but a rounding of the spine as you drop your head and use your elbows to open up the hips and the inner thighs. I'm going to rise up to our seats, scoot the sitting bones a little closer to the heels. Take your thumbs and place them inside the arches of your feet. I recognize this is not close up, but this is where we're headed. Open up the feet like a book and shift your heart forward. Elbows again are helping the thighs and the knees drop away and down. And you can now take the thumbs and massage the feet. Feels really good underneath the toes. It's getting a little circulation going. And if you can fold deeper, feel free. And I rise back up, take the hands outside the knees, lift the knees more toward the sky. Bring your feet wider than your mat or as wide as your mat and drop your knees together. Hands come behind you and we'll take a little twist. Very gently windshield wiper the legs left and right. Knees come back toward the sky. We're going to lengthen the legs in front. If you need a bolster or a blanket or something rolled up under your knees, we're going to work a little ankle and footwork and find our forward fold again. Actually, we're going to start with, let's start with Janu Shirshasana. So take the right foot inside the left thigh. If you need your bolster or something underneath the left knee, allow that to happen. I'm going to sit up nice and tall, one hand on your right ankle and the other hand maybe on your left thigh. We're going to find ankle circles here. Ankle circles are some of the best opener for the ankle and foot. Really working the heel forward, the toes outward, then the toes forward, the toes to the other side, and then take it in the opposite direction. The other thing that can work really well for the toes is to open them wide and then squeeze them like you're making a fist. We're going to bring the heel outward and the toes back toward us. Sit up nice and tall. Square the heart toward the left knee and the arms come out in front, just like we did at the beginning of practice, but with one leg instead of two. Arms shift into the shoulders. On an exhale, shift forward at the hips, reaching past the feet. Breathe in. Exhale, shift. Breathe in. Exhale, shift. Let's take a fourth time. And shift, and this time maybe the hands drop and the head drops. Your knee can be bent, especially if your spine is rounding a lot. This posture is not just about the hamstrings. It's about working the Achilles heel by bringing the heel forward, which also supports the hamstring opening. But also it's about opening the right hip. So imagine you could breathe into the right hip crease and bring that right knee down toward the ground. We'll take that to the other side, and then we'll take our final posture in Paschimottanasana, as we did at the beginning of class. So this time, right leg is long, sole of the left foot inside the right leg, knee drops out, right heel reaches forward, and we take our ankle circles nice and slowly. And the opposite direction. Heel reaches forward, toes reach back. We spread the toes really wide, and then we curl them like we're making a fist. Toes reach back, heel reach forward, arms reach out, lock into the shoulders, breathe in, sit tall. Exhale, shift forward. Breathe in and forward. Another inhale and forward. Fourth time's a charm. Hands can drop. Aiming for a long spine and loosening out that left hip. Rise back up. This time, our final posture before Shavasana, Paschimottanasana, seated double-legged forward fold. Heels reach forward, toes reach back, arms reach out, heart reaches up, lots of reaching going on. Arms lock back into the shoulders so we can shift forward on a breath out. Hands are as if they're reaching past the feet, but not downward, just forward. Keep on the breath out, the shift moving forward. And once you're ready, hands can drop, head can drop. And as we are getting very close to the end of this practice, the end of our 50 minutes, we're going to use the belly to rise back to the seat. Your choice to bring the soles of the feet to the mat or not. So we will not be doing supine forward fold today. Although if you like, between now and Shavasana, you can make one L shape with the hands underneath your sacrum. The legs reach toward the sky. The heels reach toward the sky. And you're welcome again to alternate between pointing the toes and reaching the heels to the sky in order to work the ankles and the feet. While you're imagining this fold shape, this L shape, this staff shape, the legs coming right out of the hips and the entire back body as close to the earth as you can get it. Knees hug into the chest, give them a really nice squeeze, maybe a little rock and left and right, maybe some hip circles or knee circles here. And then your final resting posture, Shavasana. Most traditional being the legs on the ground, some space between your feet, shoulder blades scooting toward your hips, but connected to the earth. Arms flop outward with the palms facing up. Huge breath in. And a big breath out. Body now integrating the efforts of the mind, the body itself, the movement, the breath, the heart or spirit. Just for a few effortless, natural breaths. Huge breath in. And a complete release. Roll onto one side. Come back to your intention here. Give yourself a little moment of gratitude for coming to your mat. And then use your top hands like a top hat. Not quite. Press yourself to a comfortable seat. Hands come to the heart. We'll close with Om as we began. And then our final loving kindness statement. Breathe in. Thumb knuckles meet the center of your forehead. May you be calm. May you release what you do not need. May you be patient. May you transition in this season with ease. We bow together. Namaste. Thank you for joining me live or recorded, depending on when you are here. Today is Saturday the 16th, something like that. Next Saturday, there is no live class, but I encourage you to continue to practice by choosing from among 100 plus recordings based on what you feel like in that moment. You can use them during the week. Obviously, they're always there. If you have the funding, I would appreciate donations to saltandsandstudio.com. But if you don't, we're here for you too. Looking forward to getting back together at the end of the month. And I will talk with all of you or to all of you. Some people I have conversations with, some people I don't. I hope you have a great rest of your day. My name is Karen, coming to you from Vermont, and I hope to see you live in person one day soon. Bye.